Good evening, everybody. It's Friday, so let's get started. Today is August 20th, 2021. This is episode 161 of Maelstrom Radio. Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, Gladys and Shyntyrr. And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Peter. With me, as always, is my good friend and co-host Quinton. Hey friend, how are you?
Hi, I'm okay. Again, it's Friday night, so that's always a good sign.
It is the night where people come here to party. Is that no? People don't come here to party.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? We're fine.
I have my super special drink, water.
Yeah. I have tea.
Unlike the popular rumors, I am not thirsty.
I have throat tea, which I will sip on later. I have water, and I have boy, it's been a long week juice. So so just to let everybody know. So what have we been up to this week? Well, I mean the synopsis would we accidental flesh wall.
Accidental flesh wall. Yep, that's been the week.
We didn't expect the flesh
That's it,
wall.
we're done. There's the show. Accidental flesh wall.
Also, I mean, we got a facelift slightly. We took the assets we had and kind of Quinton took the assets we had and played with them a bit, and
I made boxes.
That's all we did. It's just boxes on boxes. Everything looks neat now. For now, this is what we're working with. Things may change in the future, but for now, this is these are nice boxes.
I kind of miss the old almost like Persona-esque chat, so I think we'll have to play around with that a little bit.
The Persona-esque chat. Okay, I know what you're saying. I gotcha. Yeah. We could actually have a Persona type chat too, if we really want.
I know. We don't need to be that fancy. We're not Reisna.
No.
It's got a really cool things.
Anyway, yes. So we did a tiny facelift here. There was an accidental flesh wall. We did some D&D. Apparently, I rolled like ever loving crap that night, so I couldn't. I was afraid to RP that night because I feel like anything my character could have done would have been backfired and hurt us in some sort of way. So I was like, it's better that people ask me to do things and let me see if I can do a thing. Then nothing I rolled. I didn't roll higher than 13, and let's just put it that way. None of it was good. So
yeah, and that 13 also didn't make the checks.
No, nothing made the checks. I learned that I like picture books. I go to libraries and I just look at the pictures. So if that tells you anything about my current situation in rolling in D&D, I rolled like our DM rolls attack rolls. So
yeah, basically, it's a good thing he wasn't attacking yesterday.
So
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Susan has started a new AU for Maelstrom Radio. We have Chonky Joker and Ryuji.
All right. Well, sure. I'll take it. I'll take Chonky Joker.
Persona Maelstrom.
Well, and also there's some slight cat news. Ash. Susan has wires under her work desk, and our cat, Susan bought boxes. Yeah, Susan bought boxes to tuck all like the loose wires near the bottom, and it looks very neat. And all the rest of the wires up flat against the wall, except Ash has now taken it upon himself to attack the wall where the wires are, thus proving that Ash has no cares. He just all will be attacked. Ash is the killer of wires and unplugged her work computer when she was midday working. So, but since Susan was like high pitched squealing at Ash because of that, Poe now protects the under wires from her. Like Poe now goes under the desk to protect the wires. So
that's good.
Kind of a win. Like Poe the dog has never really hung out in the rooms, but now Poe the dog will hang out in rooms to protect wires. So
2 for 1.
It's a win. It works. It works. Dogs are coming in rooms and protecting wires is really what we wanted to do here. So let's talk about a little bit the business, as we like to call it here. So we have some upcoming shows that we're excited to talk about. Next Friday, that's August 27th, Jen and Eric from Jen and Eric Live will be here. That's right. Former World of Warcraft streamers now streaming Final Fantasy and various other games, cosplayers, and of course they are
they also
generic. Yeah, I know, generic. Yeah.
Yes. It's they also recently they've completed Shadowbringers, but they just recently became dwarves.
Dwarves, yeah, they all just changed dwarves
in game.
Yeah, I got the note typed in our chat that's generic, not Jen and Eric, but their names are play on words.
Jen and Eric from Generic Live.
Yes, it's. Did I not point out the long week juice? All right, just wanted to make sure that everybody understood where this is going. Also, the week after that, Vegan Pete from She Hills, I think, will be here. We have not talked to Vegan Pete, my counterpart. I'm Meat Pete. He's Vegan Pete. It works out. Will be here. Team Whiskers teammate Deja Vudea. Am I saying that right? I believe I said it right.
No.
Deja Vudea.
This is our Deja Vu D.
Okay, Deja Vu D. Oh boy, really? All right, I won't question it. Listen again. Have I talked about our Lord and Savior long week juice? The return
just
of the
in case you forgot.
Yeah,
our final announcement is we will have eventually a routine of our Choose Your Own Adventure with Safest Sephiroth.
That's the one I probably could have said. Okay,
well, I got you.
And of course, we reached 500 followers on Twitch, and we want to thank you. And so we want you to please look forward to Peter and Quinton finally playing It Takes Two during Labor Day weekend. Exact days and times will be announced, so just keep a lookout on our social medias and in our Discord. We will let you know when we're going to be playing soon. And honestly, thank you for helping us get here, because we should have been here probably a long time ago, but hey.
277 left. I mean, less now. We only need 267 now, but
yeah,
we're getting closer.
We're getting there. Getting one viewer at a time. So
yes.
So, and there actually was some gaming news, and gaming and community news. So first of all, a friend of the podcast, Escalia, she is starting her own podcast and looking for co-hosts. So, first and foremost, Chili, don't you do too many things, so don't apply. But if you are interested in joining Escalia, you need to go check out her post, read through it, make sure it is a fit for you. Am I incorrect in saying that Escalia wants to have the gayest and thirstiest FFXIV podcast ever created?
I mean, there's not really a whole lot of them out there right now that I'm aware of, so yes, she's got that covered.
All right. It's also a paid gig, which pays more than what we pay, which is $0. So
less than.
Oh yeah, true. Well, join Maelstrom Radio. You'll be in debt. So,
I mean, if you think about it, since we've joined, you guys bought a house. So
very true. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, and got a cat. Like
we're building equity. All right, the cat. All right, fair enough. Final Fantasy 14 is getting things ready for Endwalker. There will be a live stream to go along with the stress tests on Mana Data Center on Friday, August 27th. So that's the Oceanic server, or is that a whole new data center?
They can't stress test something that doesn't exist, I don't believe. So that won't be the. I don't think that's the Oceanic server.
So we are getting a whole new data center.
No, like. Oops.
I mean, is there a Mana data center now? It's Japan. Okay, Chili says it's Japan, I think. Okay.
Yeah, as I say, it's. I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, it's an existing data center, so it's not the Oceanic one. That still has to come.
Got it. Okay, it's a Japanese data center. Okay. So Friday, August 27th, hopefully, maybe. No, that was September. Never mind. I'm not gonna. There's no job stuff. Don't listen to me. That's September. Also,
this is literally 1 week from today. So
yeah. Also, Friday, August 27th, the Rising is back. I didn't participate in the last Rising, so I'm sure I'll buy whatever the hell they gave away last year off the box station.
There was some surprise text underneath. I think Susan pointed it out. Some previous rewards may be available from the vendors.
Oh.
Well.
You
might not have to bring out the real monies.
Oh. Finally.
As Susan's posting in chat there, certain items available during previous iterations of the event can be obtained via the Rising vendor.
Chili just coming in here squashing my hopes and dreams. Fireworks, probably. Just fireworks. Come on, Chili.
Hey, what if they gave us some more of the Realm Reborn Red?
Well. You gotta stock up.
I was about to do the animation for it, and then I realized I should not do that animation on stream.
Well, clip it.
Woo.
So of course, Susan says I will be so delighted to acquire the Red Moon Parasol. I went to go look at it. It's not bad looking. Again, umbrellas don't do anything. You just hold them. They don't do anything. They just don't do anything. But they don't do anything. They don't do anything. Can't even emote. I was like, oh, can I at least emote with an umbrella? Like if I could like wave with an umbrella. No, you can't even do that. They do nothing. They stop the rain. Chili, they do nothing. The rain doesn't affect me in game. It does nothing. In fact, it just stops the cool like weather effect of myself getting wet. And I like that effect.
That's not our podcast. That's a Scalia's podcast.
No, I like getting wet, so maybe I'll go apply there. No? All right. The interesting news about the Magic the Gathering animated series. The Russo brothers are out, and you pointed something out here, and I think you're excited about it, so I'm going to let you talk about this. I had no idea this was even happening, and I play Magic the Gathering.
I wasn't aware that there was a Magic the Gathering animated series. I kind of have heard about it in the background, but just one of the artists or writers that I follow is involved with it, so that's how I found out about it. Nice. That's all I know.
All right, that's still cool though. I'm excited to see where a Magic the Gathering series goes.
It depends on what arc it's in. I don't remember. I didn't read up on it aside from that, but they've got a lot of good lore at the back. Like Magic the Gathering as a game is kind of it's its own thing. Love it or leave it, but their lore is fairly in depth.
Oh yeah.
For a card game.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff, and the card art is always so good.
It is.
I would love. I found one time was like a complete I think a Japanese artist did a Magic the Gathering card. I'm like, now if they did a whole series of like Eastern inspired like yokai, I would. Where's that? Where can I get? All right, never mind. I'm like,
what you mean, like Yokai Watch?
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
You're just looking at like Easter, like you're looking for like a yokai type series. I got you.
Is there one?
There's a few. Yokai are fair. It's like trying to find like magical beings in North America. There's a ton of series around that.
Susan's like Yu-Gi-Oh.
We'll talk after stream.
All right. I know there is an American artist who draws Japanese yokai, and it's really like I would get a tattoo of his art. That's how good it is. Like it's creepy. Like anyway, Final Fantasy 14. I inspired Chili and I inspired somebody with our LunarCon event. So if you didn't know, Chili and I did a LunarCon panel about, hey, so you want to be a Final Fantasy 14 podcaster? And somebody listened to us and actually created a show. So we inspired Matthew and Beth of the Just Sort of Casual. It's a show where two friends talk about the lore of Final Fantasy XIV in an accessible way to old and new players, in addition to talking about news, in-game events, and community projects. Matthew, known online as Tibby Salts, mentioned in the first episode he was inspired by myself and Chili and our panel Lunacon. So congrats, like awesome. Like this is the perfect time to create a podcast. It's right before Endwalker. The game is blowing up. Congratulations. And I honestly, I wish you well. Like I'm happy that I inspired you. We've been doing this for 5 years and I inspired one person. It's pretty good. I did it finally. So, in all honesty, please go check out Just Sort of Casual. Oh, two. Yeah, two people. Yeah, Beth. Beth is his friend.
Well, no, I do. Well, three, too.
There's another.
There's another group.
There's another. I mean, I don't count us. You?
We have a longtime friend of the show who pops in very sporadically.
You mean Safe as Sephiroth?
He very rarely streams nowadays, because he's been busy with his new job. But he most recently did a tank episode.
What? Brohamit? Chili says Brohamit.
Talon. How did you forget Talon?
I did forget Talon. You're right. I forgot. I forgot Talon because Susan said it right. Talon was inspired by MR. That's true. You might have been inspired by.
I don't know if necessarily was inspired, but he definitely like we talked to him a lot about it while he was getting set up and running, and I know that he's thanked us a few times.
Yeah, we did. We did give him a lot of pointers early on. He's like, Talon I thought was from She-Hills. I mean, start a podcast. Either way, just grab a microphone and shout your opinions into it. Someone will listen. That's the point.
To be fair, Chili, you could literally be from any podcast in Final Fantasy, and they'd probably be right.
And everybody is from She-Hills. I'm from She-Hills, I think. I'm just... Bizarro. I'm Bizarro Vegan Pete. Meat Pete.
I'm not Avi. She's much better than I am.
Well, let's find out. Today's main topic. You got to listen to an interview where Susan asked me a ton of questions and I answered very truthfully. So today, after 160 episodes, we want you to get to know Quinton a little bit better. And honestly, Quinton's probably the more mysterious one out of anybody on the team. So let's get into it. Quinton, are you ready?
No.
All right. Well, then. We got a lot of questions, from a lot. So was I from a lot of different people in our community. So let's just get started. This is from Tibian. Speaking of just sort of casual hosts, Tibian says, "What was your first console or PC? What was your first console or PC? Mm-hmm. What was your first game? Or we'll break it into parts. I can ask you all the questions, or how do you want me to? Do you want me to ask you question by question and let you answer, or do you want me to tell you all the questions?
It might be easier to answer per question, so I don't have to think back and answer 18 questions depending on. I know Safe had a
Safe paragraph. Safe has many questions and he demands answers.
They were great questions.
Let's get started. So what was your first console or PC?
Technically, my first was a console because I didn't get my PC until I was around 9-ish. But I did have consoles younger than that. I am a 90s kid, so my first console that I had was a Sega Saturn.
That's a good console.
And then an N64. It was a good console. I didn't appreciate it as much as when I had it, but it was a very, very good console.
I don't think younger people appreciated it as much as they should have, and then later on in life, you're like, dang, that was a good console. It was a great console.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon.
I do remember that I did enjoy. Other people had Sega Genesis. That was a really good console that I liked. And of course the N64 was a really popular one. Yeah, my favorite one back on Sega Saturn. I really enjoyed Sonic 3D Adventures.
Yes.
And which is it's like a top-down isomorphic Sonic. It was unique, but it was fun.
It was very unique. It was very unique.
And the other one was Virtua Fighter, which is not Mortal Kombat, but like same idea.
You're absolutely right. Oh, oh my god. You're taking me back.
Fighter.
Yeah, you're taking me back.
Yeah, this is good 25 years ago.
Remember the giant block hands of the fighters, like punching you with crates.
Oh, maybe it was a different one. I think I had a later version of Virtua Fighter. I can't remember which one it was.
Was it like Virtua 3? Okay, so they had less. Virtua Fighter 1 was literally
less blocky. Yeah,
it was like they were punching you with crate hands. So what was your very first game? Like you're very as far back as you can remember.
I honestly can't remember. I do remember playing games very young. My dad did have a laptop that he was working from, like the good old 2-inch thick massive laptops with tiny little screens on them.
Yes.
Where we had 3.5-inch floppy disks, which weren't actually floppy disks. But anyways,
for you young folks at home.
No, they weren't floppy. The floppy were the old 14-inch. I've never seen those in use. But anyways, the 3.5-inch floppy.
I have.
When you had to swap them in between because it only held so much data, so you had to swap between 6 different disks. There was a few games that I remember playing, and there was a few that I really, really, really liked, and I can't remember what they are. I have memories that I was playing them, but I can't remember them. One of them I do remember. That was on the floppy I swear it was a Wizard of Oz game, and I can't. That's all I remember.
Like a point and click adventure. That was very popular back then.
Possibly, I that's why I can't remember. It's really weird because I have memories of playing these games, but I could not tell you what they are.
Yeah, I get it.
In terms of early-ish games, again, the Sega Saturn ones are probably up there because that was my first console. Around that time, it also from renting, I had played stuff like Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium. I guess that was a few years later because we're getting into Pokemon at that time, which is late 2000s. Or sorry, late 1990s. Yeah, those are probably my earliest games. If we're talking earliest PC games, we're looking into things like Diablo, probably Math Blaster, some of those education ones, The Sims, original Sims. I wasn't a huge fan of SimCity. I played a little bit, but I prefer the regular Sims.
I like creating disasters. It was just tornado, survive.
I did that in The Sims, but it was pool, ladder, yeah.
So, all right. And is there a comfort food style game you play that isn't Final Fantasy 14?
It's a good question. I don't think there's a game that I tend to go back to 14. Miss Vader in chat knows me very well. Legend of Zelda. That's true as a
Hades?
Franchise. The Zelda series is definitely there. As I stand, I have 2 games that I have not even started playing that are both Zelda sitting in front of me.
Yep.
The 2 latest ones. Chili thinks that it's Hades. Hades was my game of the year 2020. By far, hands down, that wins. Is it a comfort game? Don't know. It's definitely one that I would go back to and play. I haven't in a while. Trying to think of other things. No, there's not really a game that I kind of go back to often. I've thought about going back to The Sims now and then, but I haven't. It's not something I tend to do in general. In terms of genres of games that I would go to, it's gonna be probably just RPG style, story driven is usually pretty good.
Fair. All right. Well, as we said earlier, Sephiroth has several questions, and I think he demands answers for all of them. So let's.
So does Susan, though.
So I agree. Susan does also have a lot of questions, but
she had a question before.
Oh, she did. I'm so sorry. What is the first video game?
I got you, Susan.
Thank you. What was the first video game that made you love video games?
I'm gonna have to probably say that Sonic game, honestly. That was I spent a lot of time in that game. I really enjoyed it. In terms of like, it wasn't really like genre defining or something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this game is going to get me to play all the Sonic games. Spoilers, it didn't. But like, Ms. Vader was in there probably expecting me to say something like Ocarina of Time, because that was a huge impact, and that was a very good game. It was very fun. And even more than that, Majora's Mask has always stayed with me. Actually, even more than those two. And this kind of, I guess, goes back to Tibbet's other question of like comfort food style games. There was a game that I played extensively as a kid, and I've replayed it in the last few years as well, and that was The Legend of Zelda. Zelda has way too many titles, and my brain is currently mush because of Friday. What was it?
Not
Link's Awakening.
I was gonna say it's not Miss Vader said
No, it wasn't
Wind Waker, but I knew it was Link's Awakening because it was the drop down Game Boy. So
good old Game Boy one, and the Seasons games, of course, or the Oracle games. Those really need a remake.
And I'm going to interject questions that I come up with on the fly, because
by all means.
So you said that made you love video games, but what was the very first game that made you consider video games as an art form? Like, what was the game that was like, man, they are
like that? I didn't really consider it just as a game, but it could also be more than that.
More than that, yes. This is a hard question.
Like I can't really think, because I feel like when I was younger, I didn't quite appreciate it as much, especially like even with something like The Sims, where I was effectively creating all these different things of art, different houses, different lifestyles, different situations, different scenarios. Like technically that was kind of artistic, but I'd never really considered it in that light. Playing games since then, I'm trying to think of things that kind of jump out, and the only one that does off the top of my head was Journey, which we know is an incredibly good artistic storytelling game.
Very good. And for those that you don't know, Journey is a game with no like I don't want to say cutscenes, but there's there's no text.
There's no story. It's visual storytelling.
Yeah. So it's how you experience
interpretation.
Exactly. Anybody can experience that game very differently and take things away from it and how they play that game. It's a very moving game, and I suggest if you can play it, go play it. It's very fun. So
yeah. And I had a really good experience when I played it the first time, because for those of you who don't know, it is a single player game, but it's also online. So random people can join your world. And they'll come in and out of your world, kind of like phasing. But again, you can't communicate. There's no voice chat. There's no text. There's no anything. So you can just kind of jump around and like, woo, make some noise.
Yeah, that's it. And
which is about it.
And they go on their journey.
But that's a good communication method. As anyone who's ever played games, jumping is the most important communication method between players. But as people kind of go back and forth and in and out, I did come across one person who probably I was about a third of the way through, and they stayed with me the entire time. They showed me all of the hidden like secrets all around everything. Like they're come over here, check out this, and basically like led me through the game without knowing anything else.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that was just a really neat experience, especially because you can't communicate and you don't really know what that other person is thinking or why they did it. So it was just a really neat experience.
Yeah.
But as I was thinking about that, there was a game that I played before Journey that was very similar in that, and that's Limbo.
Yes.
Limbo on PC is a very it's in other consoles now too as well, but Limbo is a very good game as well, where it has very muted storytelling elements, very muted visuals. It's very, very dark, dark visually and dark story-wise. Mm-hmm. It's just a very interesting way to tell a story again, and it's these sort of smaller games that I find very, very artistic, very, very interesting, and very rewarding to play through.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Now to Safe. Safe, I know you have a lot of questions, so we're going to get through them. Safe wants to know, why did you start getting into podcasting to begin with?
So we're going to go with the true question here, right? Or true answer? Yeah. So if we're talking about podcasting in general, not Maelstrom Radio, and it was serendipity. I was part of a fan community for the MMO Rift. At the time, it was called Plains of Talara. Joined an IRC server, was chatting with a bunch of really cool people, and ended up actually getting involved with a fan site. And we actually, a bunch of us were creating different fan sites, and it was part of this like little community. We had a really great relationship with the devs. Community team was a lot of fun. But as part of that, one of the other people that I met in that group at the time had created a podcast for this, and it was the only podcast for this game at the time, and it was by far the largest podcast at the time. And we actually lasted until just after release, when the host had to retire due to some personal reasons. But it was a really cool experience, and I basically just kind of jumped in, and they're like, hey, we need some help. So I'm like, okay, I'll help you with your website. And then it kind of went from there. I ended up helping do a few producer stuff for producer-like stuff, things for them. I can't words. I don't have long weekend juice. But yeah, that's how it kind of started with the podcasting stuff. And then through them, I had other friends that I knew from that, and through various communities, whether it was going through Guild Wars 2 a few years later, I was involved with a podcast with people that I knew from that. EverQuest Next to the next game after that came out, where Peter and I originally met. He was doing a podcast for that. I was helping on, of course, another website, which had its own podcast. We won't talk about that for many reasons. And then that kind of fell through it. And then a few years later, Peter's like, hey, so do you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, sure, why not? I got nothing else to do. And that's how Maelstrom Radio started.
Sounds accurate.
Serendipity.
Yeah, just the right time. You just strike when the iron's hot.
Yep.
So was it MMOs then podcasting, or did you have aspirations to work on radio or something like that before taking up MMOs?
A really interesting question. So MMOs came first. I've been playing EverQuest. I played EverQuest 1 since 2003 and EverQuest 2 since 2004. Switching to various MMOs since around 2010. 2009, 2010. I've kind of hopped back and forth, and I've been in Final Fantasy now since I want to say 2014, I think. Something like that.
Whenever launched.
So, no, I was around Heavensward launch is when I joined.
Oh yeah. I remember. I was trying to.
I started late.
Everybody should.
Yeah, you tried me. I played it for Extra Life for a year. Got my bard to 30.
Yeah.
Stopped playing for another 8 months, and then I started actually playing, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So MMOs definitely came first. I've always had a love for MMOs much longer than that. Podcasting came, again, serendipitously. It happened much later. I wouldn't be in podcasting if it wasn't for MMOs. But interestingly enough, before MMOs were a big thing for me, there were certain online websites. That sounds really sketchy when I put it that way. Virtual worlds, precursors to a lot of the things that you see nowadays. It was Habbo Hotel for those who are that old. That's still around, by the way. My friends and I played around on that, and one of the things that was really big on there was different radios. So way, way, way back when, my friend actually did like a Shoutcast Winamp radio show on there, and where we'd basically just play music. Because it was the internet, it was the Wild West. No one cared. Copyright.
I miss those days.
LimeWire.
Napster.
Yeah, Neopets was another big one, but I wasn't involved in. I did play Neopets for a while. They're still alive and very hungry. But the Habbo Hotel, that one, we had a pretty good community going. I did end up doing a little bit of DJing on that for a while. You'll never find that anywhere because it was the early internet. We don't have recordings. But it was fun. So that's kind of my first introduction into like radio sort of stuff. And what a lot of people don't know is when I was actually in school, high school at this point, that was actually pre-high school. But anyways, in high school, I've known for a long time I've wanted to go into software development. That's what I ended up doing. But there was a point when I almost kind of switched over into broadcasting, which includes like TV and radio. So there was definitely some influence there, and that's kind of why I've jumped into some of this now, too. I'm not going to dox myself any more than that.
So, what recording equipment do you use?
Well, so a lot of this is from Peter because Peter gets the equipment and then he's like, I like this, and then I pick it up as well. And then I get a whole bunch of other stuff and he's like, okay, now I'll get it too. So our budgets are not very great with this. But anyways, for my streaming setup, I have just my regular desktop PC. It is about 4 or 5. It is 4 years old now, actually. I built it 4 years ago this month. It was pretty good at the time. 32 gigs of RAM. It's got an 8-core AMD. I can't remember the exact processor. One of it's an AMD processor, which is pretty good. It's got a 1080 Ti in it. It runs fairly good. Nothing too fancy nowadays, but it's pretty good enough. I've got a dual monitor setup. Would like more. Don't want to get more space. In terms of the actual podcasting equipment, I have just a regular pair of earbuds because my other headphones broke. I am using the Elgato mic, the Wave 3 from Elgato, which is a recommendation from Peter. He uses the same mic. We have the same microphones for this. I have a Logitech 920 webcam, so nothing too fancy there either. I've had that for probably a decade. My lighting right now is currently an Elgato ring light. It works fairly well, although there's some things that I would still like to change, whether that's... Anyways. In addition to that, I do have a stream deck that I have for some of my own streaming. I haven't really set it up a whole lot, so I will have to get better with that. And then I have an Elgato capture card in my computer as well, so if I want to stream the Switch, then I can stream it through as well. Because my Switch is sitting right in front of me. Is there any other pieces of equipment that we're missing? Get the green screen, also Elgato.
The green screen, yeah. We have a lot of Elgato stuff. We're not sponsored.
Not sponsored yet. I have a pretty basic Code keyboard. It's called Code. Mechanical, it's clicky. And my Logitech Logitech MMO mouse. Yeah, Elgato, please sponsor us. We would love that.
Oh, please, yes.
I still need two more lights up here, and those aren't cheap.
Honestly, Corsair. I bought Susan.
I would take Corsair.
I have a Corsair Scimitar and a Corsair keyboard. So Susan uses the Corsair keyboard that I bought for her. Please, Corsair. Actually, Corsair.
If this mouse ever died, I would go with the Corsair mouse.
Oh, the Scimitar's so good. Susan, Susan can't use an MMO mouse. Not that the show's about Susan, but she has issues. She's like, I'm old.
I use it for a few buttons now because I don't want to reach over, but
yeah, same.
It's more lazy.
Yeah.
Also, I have a very nice, you can't really see it from here because it's usually black, but I have a very nice ergonomic desk chair.
You have a great chair.
Not a fancy gamer chair.
Yeah, you have a great chair.
Yeah, it's a really good chair. It is a Herman Miller chair. Can't remember the name.
And
body.
The next question is, do you recommend it? So, what out of all that, what do you recommend? Or yes.
So definitely the chair.
Yeah.
Although if anyone looks up the price for that chair, yep, that is correct. And also, it is 100% worth it. I have no problem. I've used this thing for 3 years, and I sit in it now quite a lot because I'm working from my home. So worth it. Same thing with my desk, which is a sit-stand desk. Out of all of the equipment that I have, the thing that I most would recommend is probably I'm not a huge one to stream myself. I do find that I really do like my microphone. I don't think that it's probably necessary for a lot of people, especially if you're starting up soon. But the Elgato mic is really, really nice. I would not recommend the Elgato ring light. Unless you're doing specific content creation where the camera is sitting in the ring light and you're staring right at the ring light. Because we're looking at our monitors here, we have the camera above and the ring light above that. It doesn't give great solo light, so you can definitely go for cheaper lights, not a ring light in that sense. If you want to have like a full lighting setup, great to have, but not as a solo light, in my opinion. In terms of streaming, I think the most useful piece for any person is going to be a stream deck or something that can act like a stream deck, because having the ability to sit here, click a button, move your scenes around, change everything. I haven't used it so much to what it is. I do have a few scenes set up for my own streaming. But over the last few months, Peter and I have worked to set up his stream deck, and the amount of actions and stuff that we've been able to automate and make better, it really helps with the stream. Really and we're not even anywhere close to some of the things that we can do with it. So yeah, it's very exciting.
And just to give you a quick idea, like our intro and outros are just literally one button press. It's hands off at that point. It plays the music, it switches the scene, and takes us off, and mutes the mics, and play. Like, it does everything. It's stacked and everything. So
it took 4.5 years to convince him to do it, but we finally did it.
Well, it was more like audio routing, but I think once I got this mic installed and the software installed, I was able to do it a little. It really was just a software limitation for the last couple of years. It's when I got this mic, the Wave 3, and the software that comes with it, which is the Wave Link, we were able to do it a lot easier. Just because the Stream Deck and the Wave Link, everything talks to each other, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
To do things like that. So just a heads up for those out there.
Chili is saying that he tried the Stream Deck and it killed his phone battery, so he got rid of it. And like, they do have the phone app, and that's probably going to happen because your screen has to be left on and all of that for it to be useful. If you are interested in doing it, the actual physical hardware Stream Deck is very good. I know that it typically goes on sale, and they've got a few versions of it now, so you might be able to find older ones for cheaper. There's also, I think, 3 different sizes: a small, a regular, and an extra large now. So there's lots of different options, and for most people, even the small one is probably going to be more than enough. Peter and I have the regular, the original, the 6x3, or sorry, 5x3.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of buttons. Honestly, mine has 4 used right now. And one of them is to turn on my light.
I use a lot, and honestly, I created folders, and I just go into those folders. Like,
one of my buttons is a folder which has a whole bunch of other stuff. That's my streaming stuff.
But it's
very helpful.
It's a great piece of kit. I mean, if you get the new one, I'm sure it's also just as good. It's just like a revamped version. But if this one, the old one, goes on sale, grab it. It works just as well. Like, I mean, other than like the lighting and stuff on the new one, I don't think there's much difference. So.
It really comes down to, like, if it's something you think you would be useful, any size is going to fit your need. Just figure out what your budget is with that, and if you need to, wait for it to go on sale, see what the historical sales are, and just kind of wait for that. Typically around like Black Friday in the US, there's a lot of good things. And yes, Chili, size doesn't matter. There you go, Susan. I'll give you another freebie.
So for like in Chili's case, like Chili might only need like the 3-button Stream Deck. Like the little mini one, where it's only 3 buttons. Why are you face palming? You might only need 3. Chili, I see you. Don't worry. You can do everything in the world with 3. All right, don't worry. Do you like hurting people, Quinton? Do you like?
No.
Okay, well that's easy. Is it true that Canadians are born with resistance to cold as a stat buff, or is it learned behavior?
We are born with it, but we also have additional bonuses the longer that we stay.
Okay. Do you have any interest in tabletop games?
I do, actually. As we've been talking about repeatedly for the past few months, we're involved with a Dungeons & Dragons campaign currently, which I believe is based off of 5th edition. I have been playing Dungeons & Dragons on and off for almost 20 years, back to 3.5. Outside of that, I've played a couple different versions of Dungeons and Dragons over the years. I haven't really gotten into any other tabletop games in that sense. I never got into Warhammer or anything like that. Watch the people over there, very, very cool. Did not want to get into minis. Or painting. But in terms of like the question I know is talking about tabletop games, but we're talking about like board games as well. I do have a small handful, but they tend to need other people to play. And all the people that I know who would play board games currently live on the opposite side of the country, in a different country. Oh. So, well, also, yeah, Peter is there, but also all the people that I know back in Canada. So, I have a lot of interest in a lot of these things, but not a lot of time. There is certain things you can do with like tabletop, like virtual tabletop, which we've tried a few times, which has been pretty good. And I have played games a few times with people here. That's just trying to get people together, especially in a pandemic, is difficult. That's a Fic Watts thing, by the way. It's never part of Watts Fic. Yeah.
So what about other nerdy?
Just for us.
So what about other nerdy shit outside of MMOs?
Well, if we don't count the entirety of other games that we've talked about having, we'll get to that in a second. So if we're not talking about outside of like MMOs, of course, I have all the other video games. Of course, I'm a huge Zelda fan. I like a lot of RPGs. I do have a PS5. I do have my PS4, my Switch, a bunch of Nintendo consoles. All that sort of fun stuff. I have been to a couple gaming cons, but of course nothing in a long time, and very, very few. Outside of that, if we do have to include just general nerdy stuff, I watch a lot of anime, or I did watch a lot of anime. Haven't lately because I've been busy, but we've talked about that. I put the channel in our Discord, so that of course is there.
Comics, I will say you do collect and buy a lot of comics.
I was going to get that. I read a lot of comics. When I checked at the beginning of this year, I was reading over 100 different comics, web comics. I've gained a lot through there. Most recently, I have completed the comic Tower of God. It's on Webtoons. They also made an anime out of that last year. So I watched the anime and I've kind of looked at it. And then I read through the entire comic, which is almost 400 episodes, and they're long episodes. But it was very, very fun to catch up over the past week or so on that. So I really enjoyed that. I'm actually wearing a comic shirt right now that chat can't see. I'm
wearing an anime shirt that chat can't see. So
you're wearing anime?
Yeah, I'm wearing.
Wait, what is that?
Samurai Champloo.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Which is one of my favorite. It's like hip, like I love it. It's from the creators of Cowboy Bebop. It's so good.
I can wrap my broken mug with the blood in it. Coffee. That's from a comic called Lies Within. It lieswithincomic.com. Anyways, it's a Canadian artist, set in Toronto.
Susan says, confession, the anime channel is the MR Discord, and the MR Discord is the one channel I have muted.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I will say I tend to not like make Susan watch anime, and I do watch anime rather late at night or very early in the morning if I wake up before her. Like I'll like Saturday morning cartoon myself.
Except for Banana. Banana that's an important one.
Banana's important.
Yeah.
I think anything.
Metal Cat.
Yeah, Donut Cats is good. She likes Donut Cats. There's a few. She's like, I do like some anime. I like the movies more than shows. That's shit. But there's some. There are some shows that I consider like top tier.
So
like,
I'm gonna fan for a little bit.
Sure.
And tell everyone to go watch Promare, because if I don't say that, I know I'm going to get called out for it later, and I will probably get called out for mentioning it. But anyways, go watch Promare. It's very good. It's a movie. It is by Studio Trigger. All right. I don't have to say any more.
Got it. Last question Safe has is, who's the best husbando in Final Fantasy XIV?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I will say that Grahatia is one of the best boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Susan was a little bit worried because it's not that That's later in here. Well, we'll get to Grahatia.
So, and Mr. Kontos asks, who's the best himbo in Final Fantasy XIV? Now, I have an answer for this as well, but I want to see what yours is.
So I was really thinking about this because I read it and I'm like, wait, who is the best himbo? And I found it to be really, really hard to figure out.
Go ahead.
So a himbo has 3 things, right? You have to have all 3 of these things.
Go for it.
Not really that smart.
Uh-huh.
Very, very kind.
Uh-huh.
And beefy.
Okay. And
so a lot of people, when they think of, I know who you're thinking about.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people, when you have all of these things, like a lot of people will tend to go towards a few different things because, you say Haurchefant. Haurchefant is not beefy.
No, he's not beefy.
he's relatively smart. Like he's not too bad.
He's super.
But I was thinking like Imeric. Also very smart. Also not beefy. Doesn't fit into there. A lot of people like him. Estinian, not necessarily that smart. Not beefy though.
Well, he's fit. He's fit.
Fit, but not like
bulky.
Like himbo is bulky.
Yeah.
Need a beefy boy. There you go, Miss Vader. Hien. I think that was the first one that came to mind.
Okay.
In general, but he's the leader of Doma. He's got that smarts.
He does have smarts.
He doesn't fit into the himbo category. As you keep thinking about it, there's not a lot of himbos in Final Fantasy.
Can I? Can I go?
I think we have different answers.
I think we do too. But go ahead.
There are 2 that I can think of in this game. Your answer is going to be Hildebrand, isn't it?
It is. It's Hildebrand. He fits. He's Kronk. Kronk is
He fits. He is a himbo.
Yeah,
but
he
I would
is a
like
himbo.
to point out that there is one other himbo in the game.
Okay.
That might also take it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Gilgamesh. Not Godbert. Godbert is smart.
Godbert is smart.
He doesn't make the best decisions, but he is smart. He's not a himbo.
Yeah, Godbert's smart because he will do anything he can not to upset his wife.
Yeah.
So he's a smart man.
Gilgamesh is kind of iffy because he is he's not necessarily always kind. So of that, Hildebrand would Hildebrand would count. I was thinking Nashu for a second, but she's not beefy. If she was, she would beat him. I'm sorry. She is not there.
True. Very, very true. She's not there though.
Anyways, yeah. So Hildebrand, I think, is going to be the ultimate himbo. Definitely not the best husbando by far in 14 though.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Hildebrand, best himbo.
Hildebrand, best himbo. Question from our friend and Team Whiskers teammate Chili from Moogaround Radio. In Canada, is Canadian bacon just called bacon? He might ask.
No.
I think he's asking that legitimately. He may not know.
It is not called Canadian bacon. We don't have a thing called Canadian bacon. Often in Canada, what Americans think of as Canadian bacon is actually just ham, because Americans don't know what Canadian bacon is. But the thing that Canadians consider Canadian bacon, or that Americans would think that is Canadian bacon, is called peameal bacon, typically in Canada, which is a specially cured ham that is coated in peameal, which is cornmeal. Why it's called peameal, I can't remember, but peameal bacon is the thing that you're looking for. If you actually find it, that is, Susan knew exactly what it was when I was going to bring it up. Peameal bacon is what you'd be looking for if you're looking for, quote, Canadian bacon, but also know that if you look for and find Canadian bacon in the US, that is typically just slices of ham. It is nothing like the thing in Canada. I actually have photos on my phone making fun of this because, of course, I saw it in the US, and just know. I have some peameal bacon in my freezer because I do know people that make it themselves here, because you cannot buy it in the US, or at least none in the places that we are aware of. So he buys pieces of ham, cures them, and makes actual peameal bacon. And he's Canadian, so it's valid. It's delicious. You take it, you slice it into about a 1/4 inch or about a centimeter for other people. You put it in the frying pan with some butter. You fry it for about a minute on each side, and you're done.
Susan says, New Jersey pork roll beats all, and AKA it's also pork roll was also known as Taylor ham. It's kind of like it's like a spam sort of thing, but it's like not spam because it's actually like made. It's good. It's not bad. Like I've had it before, and it's like a New Jersey. Definitely a New Jersey. You can't get it anywhere else. You can get it in New Jersey. It's like
frustrating when that
happens. Very local. It's very local. It's a pain. It is very much a pain.
Yeah, Unfolding says depending on who you ask, the name may cause a fight.
That is very true. That the both companies fight with each other. Like they're trying to, like, we did it first. It's there's a big thing. So Anthro Phantasmus in our Discord would like to know.
Job on the name.
Yeah, thank you. What do you think about my beard, my majestic beard?
I mean, that is the only word to describe it, right? It is majestic. Like I remember when you shaved it off that one time, and that's just nope. The beard is good.
I think you're one of the few people that I've, other than like my other friends that like Sean and Lindsay and like Curry and like people we know that have seen me
for a long time.
Yeah, that have seen me like have known me long enough to know that I've not always had the beard, and that the beard, I think the beard to them, the beard has been here a shorter time than you knowing me. So yeah, I'm still cute without the beard. It's just
I mean, if you think that I have a baby face sometimes,
I have a baby face.
I got nothing on you.
Yeah, I got a baby face. They ain't have like the beard each has grays and stuff in it, so like I don't get carded. But if I shave this bad boy, it is I'm looking 20 something, not 36. So
you probably look younger than I do.
Maybe, yeah, it's quite possible.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Peter without a beard. It's something. It's not bad. I luckily it's not one of those things where I shave the beard and I have no chin. Like I have like I'm very lucky that I have a good jawline. Like if I didn't have that, I'd be screwed when I shave this thing. This is from Susan. Do you own a Kigurumi? And if so, will you ever wear one on a podcast if I can get Peter to buy/wear one as well?
I like how she's also linked to a very specific one in the document.
Yes.
Which is a Pusheen.
She wants me to wear the Pusheen Kigu.
Yeah. So I don't remember. I'm guessing that Susan didn't remember or wasn't involved. No, I'm pretty sure she was involved in those conversations because we were looking at these last year and debating to buy one. So the answer is no, I don't own one currently. Would I wear one? Yes. Would I wear one just for the podcast? Sure. Does it have to be for the podcast? Not at all. I would wear one just because I think they're really cool and a lot of them are cute, and I would just get one. I was looking at one that was for toothless.
I mean, we could always do. Well, we'll talk after the show. I don't want to like say something and not deliver. I don't want to promise something and not like people in chat. People in chat will be mad. So question from Meowth900 on Twitter: what are Quinton's favorites? Flavor of ice cream, type of pie,
yes,
type of cake, and then type of pizza. So what are your favorites? So ice cream is yes, I know flat out.
Right. Most of these I like all. I like all of them more or less. But like so for ice cream, I pretty much any ice cream, yes. If I had to choose a flavor, I'm probably gonna go with either like a mint chocolate chip, or something that's like a mixture of like caramel fudge and pretzels. Because I like the sweet and salty ones.
Yeah.
In terms of what else do we have here? Pie. Ms. Vader in chat is very aware of my favorite type of pie. Hands down, no question, no contest. Everyone else is wrong. It's pumpkin pie. And that's because I have a really good recipe for that.
You really do.
If anyone ever wants to know how my pumpkin pie, or know the quality of my pumpkin pies, Peter has had it, Susan has had it, Ms. Vader has had it. And Safest Sephiroth has my favorite quote I've ever heard, in that he thinks that I've ruined pumpkin pie for him.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
I will...
Also, last FanFest, I don't think it was nut-free chili, so I think that's why we didn't have it. But next time, I will make sure it's not no nuts.
I will say that I think that every year going forward that we're just gonna have to make your pie now every year. And I know Susan's probably like shaking her head in the room next to mine. But I don't think she'll
make it.
I don't think she'll disagree, though. I think that it was worth the effort to make the pie, and then so.
So the problem was when we made it during FanFest, we did all of it at once with a whole bunch of other things going on. If you're just making the pies themselves, it's a lot less work, especially because like we were only making it enough pies for the people there. But when you actually want to do it, you make more than what you actually need, because then you only do it once.
Yeah.
Right. Like the pumpkins.
Plus pumpkin freeze is okay. It doesn't. You can get away.
It does. I have a whole bunch of chunks in my freezer still.
See, it's fine.
And you can also make some really good pumpkin muffins with it.
Oh boy, we might have to get on that train as well.
Also low carb.
Perfect. Like. Susan says I do much for Thanksgiving. I disagree. I think that I've figured out how to trim down Thanksgiving I figured out a trimmed down Thanksgiving menu this year. Don't worry.
So here's what you do. You do the pumpkins and stuff in October when they're around for Halloween. Mm-hmm. Freeze it, or make pie in October and then take the frozen stuff out because you've already made pie in October. Then you take the frozen pumpkin and make that for November.
See? Easy peasy.
Yep. One little pumpkin will make two pies.
Technically, I'm off the whole week of Thanksgiving, so I have plenty of time to make pies and have everything ready so that I can eat and then play Endwalker.
And I was gonna say what you would have leftovers for it, but it's the other way around. You have Endwalker and then Thanksgiving.
Well, unless we do early Thanksgiving and then just do.
I mean, Endwalker releases on the Friday, so you'd have to do Thanksgiving before the holiday.
That's fine. There's going to be a downtime.
But then you wouldn't be off.
There is going to be down. I can prep.
Make a pie at a time the servers crash challenge.
Thank you.
I can't eat that much pie.
Not to get too much into my Thanksgiving menu, but I am cooking just turkey breasts this year, and I'm taking away other parts of the turkey. I'm finding turkey breast on bone so I can make, other like. Don't worry about it. Like I got it covered. It's gonna be less of a hassle this year.
Cake at Black Forest.
Cake. Okay.
Or ice cream cake.
Ooh.
Because ice cream again.
Yeah. And type of pizza.
And type of pizza is hard because I like all types of pizza, and specifically the ones that are weird, like your non-traditional North American pizzas. So stuff like your I can't remember the name of it. The stuff that's like the Italian stuff that's just like spices and
so like a margarita pizza where it's just like very simple.
Yeah, like a margarita pizza. Yeah. Like those ones are fine. But I mean, I do also really enjoy like the more basic stuff. Like I'm one of those people. I like olives on pizza, green olives. I like spicy things, spicy peppers, all that sort of stuff. If I'm at like a mass food chain like Boston Pizza, I really like their pierogi pizza. I like weird pizzas. And I am also 100%
that, but
pro
I'm so
pineapple
intrigued.
On pizza. Pineapple on pizza is delicious, and a Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian thing. It is pineapple and ham on pizza. Sorry, pineapple, ham, and bacon.
It's a solid pizza.
Very good.
Chili's like I haven't found a pizza I like.
So pierogi pizza, it's from Boston Pizza. Which is a chain. I don't know if that's in the US. That might be a Canadian chain. But anyways, what they do basically is they have their pizza crust, which is their own like in-house pizza crust, which is really good. And then they put basically like scalloped potatoes, so like thin sliced potatoes that are kind of cooked on top of that. And then with cheese on top and a little bit of like a white sauce almost. Spicy pierogi. There you go. Thank you. A little bit of a white sauce on top with the cheese on it. Then it's topped with green onions and a dollop of sour cream. Very good. And bacon. Of course, there's bacon on it. Gotta always put bacon on it.
Nice. Well, we got through. Now I'm hungry.
I haven't had dinner yet, so
these next set of questions are from Reisna. What drew you to Grahatia, and why is he your fave? Why is he
because he is best boy.
Okay.
I mean, he was kind of annoying in the Crystal Tower series, and spoilers for Shadowbringers and whatnot. Like the way that he is involved in Shadowbringers is really good. It kind of gets you to connect with him as a character and get emotionally invested in him, and especially in the post expansion content, the 5.1 to 5.5 series, he goes through a lot. And he's just, I really enjoy him as a character. He's kind of like sweet, innocent, tries very, very hard. He's one of those very likable characters. And it's the same thing like with Alphino, I find. Like it's just kind of that sweet, innocent person. And that's why I really like him. Like he's not really relatable, but you want to like him. Like you can't hate him.
Yeah, I get it.
Like Urianger, I don't hate him anymore, but I very much don't like him. He's not one of my favorites. I wouldn't be sad if we lost him like we lost some other Scions, but I would be very upset if anything happened with Gratia.
I think Susan might be upset if we lost Urianger.
Fair, that's valid. Everyone's opinion is valid. Unless you like Xenos, in which case, why?
He thick.
You're not wrong, but he's outstayed his welcome by 3 expansions.
He's too thick. Chili likes Xenos. Chili likes thick boys. Like, you know.
Susan wants them to get us to like Xenos. That's not happening.
He's just
he's no Asai.
Well,
can't hate anyone like Asai.
Oh, all right. Anyway, so I think you kind of answered, is it physicality or personality characteristics? That was the hook. And I think you kind of answered it's personality.
I would like to point out, I also like how he looks. He is a very, very cute character, but I also would like to very much point out that I'm demisexual. I do not have sexual attraction towards things. So it is very much an aesthetic attraction. I do like him, but it is not like a physical attraction as a lot of people would think about it.
He's a
personality.
He's cute. Why are you
not gonna say anything? But yeah.
Why are you still on the train?
Why would I get off?
Fair.
I mean, Reisna, if you're listening to this later, why would you? Why would you get off? He is like best boy.
You paid for the ticket. You don't have to get off the ride anytime soon.
Exactly.
And do you have any fears
it's adorable.
Of what Endwalker MSQ might inflict on this cat boy or any other of your faves?
I'm incredibly afraid of what's going to happen in Endwalker because it is the end of this whole story, and a lot of my favorites are tightly involved with this, being the Scions.
Mm-hmm.
But also knowing that my favorites tend to also be the favorites from some of the dev team, I'm a little bit less afraid, unless they decide to go like all out and just cut ties with everything. So I'm a little bit disappointed because I know that my characters I like have had a good amount of screen time, and there might be something else to kind of follow up on that. The favorites that I am very worried about would be Alphino, Alize, and Graha. And again, we're still in spoiler territory for Shadowbringers. Had a lot of ups and downs with Graha in the post expansion patches, and I'm really happy where they left off with him right now, but it is a little bit worrisome being kind of new and seeing all of this. And Chili says, I think we're going to see the twins die, or at least faked out. I don't think they're going to go that far. I think that the twins are still very important, and I don't think they're going to kill them off for a plot point. I can definitely see them getting into trouble, getting kidnapped, getting taken away, getting
I was actually
mortally injured.
I was actually talking to Moose about this. I don't want to. I'll save it for when Moose eventually comes on our show, and we'll discuss it here live. I don't want to talk about what my thoughts are, but I have thoughts.
with Chili's piece, all the Scions will probably leave except for Graha Stinian. I could definitely see that, and that's one of the things that I guess one of the better outcomes I can think of. That we're gonna wrap up the story with most of the Scions, with Y'shtola, with the twins and all of that, and they'll kind of be relegated down to like more minor roles going forward, which is a little bit of sad because I really do enjoy having them in the story, but I also understand it, and I think that they will do them justice. So it's not like we're going to be completely without them, but it is a time to move on from them as main characters, and I think that's a good approach. And I do think that Graha will get a little bit more time because we only just started seeing him as a Scion. It would be very weird to kind of suddenly cut him out after this. I disagree with Chili, though. I don't think Estinian's going to kind of jump on as much. He's had a lot. But there are a lot of characters that we could kind of see. And there could just be, we're going to wrap up with all of them. And then suddenly there'll be this whole other area that we need to go in and check out that's completely unrelated.
Although I personally can see Graha and Estinian like going off and having travels, and was seeing more of Estinian and Graha. No. I'm not together necessarily.
Not together
necessarily, but I could see Estinian being a good focal point because there is more to Estinian, I think, that we have left unanswered that we may not know, and how yet it handles with the story. And it might, again, like not to give into spoilers or anything like that, but it is very interesting, and I would love to see where what a weird buddy comedy that would be. I agree, though. That would be pretty great. And Dr. Deliciousness says, imagine Xena's casually tossing Alpha Node's head at your feet, and your Alice would be like, oof, nope, don't like that.
Although, you know what would be another really funny tie-up? Estinian goes out and encounters Gosetsu.
That would be kind of great. I would like that. I would like that. Yeah, I kind of would like that.
Yep, I think that would be a good comedy duo.
And I think Susan, I think you answered Susan's question. Is Graha your favorite? I thought it was Alpha. I think you kind of answered that already.
Alfie, Alize, Graha. Those are my three.
Yeah. So, and this is from Fina in our Discord. What is your favorite thing about making Maelstrom Radio? And what is your least favorite thing about making Maelstrom Radio?
So my favorite thing about making Maelstrom Radio is getting to hang out with one of my best friends every week. Which we haven't done a whole lot the past few years because, COVID and life events and mental health and a lot of different things. We haven't had a lot of time to like just play games together, which we pointed out last week when we played games for the first time in I don't know how long. So having this time where we can kind of sit down and just chat is a lot of fun. I think that's the best part about this is just getting to hang out for a bit. The least favorite part is also this. It is the part where I have to get ready and appear on camera every week and in front of a microphone, which for most people who know me, I am introverted. I am not someone who likes being on a camera in front of everything. So it's definitely been a big learning experience for me. I tend to prefer the behind the scenes roles, the producer roles, the making sure everything works, the technical side. So when I was invited to go onto the front of it, I was a little bit hesitant, but I get through it. I do it now, and it's still a thing. Not my favorite thing, but...
So Susan asked, if you had full control, and Peter agreed with me, if I agreed with anything you wanted, what would you like Maelstrom Radio to be?
That's a hard question.
It's a very hard question.
I mean, I feel like we've had this conversation before to some degree. We've also talked a lot about this between the two of us, and I think we're fairly on the same page. What I would really love to see Maelstrom Radio grow into being is, one, a community. I want to be able to help showcase and expose other people, other creators, other interested, and kind of just show different things to other people. Like, we've had so many different interesting people on, from Too Mellow in our early days with music and producing. We've had Hottie Chicken, who brought in a lot of warmth and caring, and streaming, especially with older audiences, older streamers. We have Jen and Eric coming in from WoW playing Final Fantasy 14 as a couple streaming. We've had
I mean, we've had a lot of people. We've had Moog around and talking to us, and
we've had Moog go around who you could never define a genre for.
No, never. Which is honestly such a great strength to have.
Right. When we've had Sloth Queen for Guild Wars 2, we have
Lucky Sparrow teaching
Deja Vu D. We have D coming on in a while that from Team Whiskers. Like, we have a lot of different people that the Songbirds. Yeah, we can keep naming on all these different people. Yeah. Fiddleback. But we bring in all these different people. Grimhelm, our friend that does the art,
does
the books, the lit RPG stuff.
Lit RPG, yep.
So like being able to find all of these different interesting people and talking with them, chatting with them, getting to know them, what they do, their areas of interests. I find that's really, really interesting, and being able to build that community around like connecting people has been something I've always been really interested in. And that's like, hey, like you're interested in like this is interesting because Team Whiskers, we joined through Chili, who's a Team Whiskers member, and getting to know a few of the other ones now. And when D comes on in a few, more sometime in the future, it was really interesting because she was looking at some of our episodes, and so I recommended a few, and she wasn't familiar with a lot of podcasters. So of course I promoted all of our friends, everyone that we know in the community, and also it was like, hey, but if you like D&D stuff, like here's a whole the DM word of the week that Fiddleback does. Like that was really interesting. And she's like, oh, yep, that's right up my alley. So like there's all these different pieces of intersectionality that would be really interesting for people. And I think that's important. And I think it's really interesting just from our own perspective of like, these are things we think are cool. We want to share them with you. And a lot of things don't get that exposure.
And to interject a little bit of myself here too as well, it was, again, like I think listening back to a lot of people that like on our 150th episode and like hearing from like Lucky Sparrow again, I think really reinforced, for me at least, like how much we love sharing a lot of like the Final Fantasy, like and the parts of the Final Fantasy 14 community that don't get the spotlight, that do things that people aren't aware of and that are harder to find. And I think that, you know, a lot of podcasts want to just talk about the game and talk about sharing that. And if we can share the people that are turning the game into their own like game essentially, or their own entertainment, and growing like finding the people that have made not only taking the game to a new level and making their own communities around it, surrounding a game, is so interesting to, I think, Quinton and I, because we've done it. We've played MMOs for years and years, different MMOs, and you can see things like that happen. So it's exposing that to as many people as are willing to listen to it as possible.
Right.
Is very interesting to us, and we get to learn too. And you know, a lot of those folks, you know, tend to hang around in our community for the long haul, which is pretty great. So, one of the last questions. In 2019, Maelstrom Radio took a mental health break. Would you be willing to share with us some of your personal mental health journey, and how are you feeling today? It's a deep question.
It is very deep. I am feeling okay today. So without going too much into it, 2019 we did take our year-long break. This is coming off of this is about a year after I had moved to the US. So I had moved away from everyone that I knew, most of my friends, family, all that sort of stuff. It was a new area, new city, big city. So there's a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes like that. Again, this is like a pre-COVID sort of stuff. So we're this is still normal times. So like there was just a lot going on, and I had been working through a burnout from a number of years ago. I had mostly gotten through that, but there was a lot of things between the moving, not being near people, not having a whole lot of support systems built in at that time. There's just a lot of things all kind of going on at once. That was very overwhelming, very stressful. Been dealing with anxiety, depression, very, very light. So it wasn't very good, and it eventually got to the point where logging in to do the podcast was just more of a job. It was something we had to do, and that wasn't good. And I know Peter was going through stuff at the same time. We both decided that it was a good time for us to mutually take a break, and we kind of made a promise at that point where it's like we aren't going to come back until we're ready. And it took a long time. I won't lie, it takes a very long time. Like we decided that in early January of 2018 that we were going to take 2019 that we were going to take that break, or in December 2018, something like that.
Yep.
And it was a hard decision for us to make because we knew that we were going to lose all of this content, lose all of our audience and everything. But it was the right decision for us to do. Hopefully also like encouraging us to find ways to get help and to get it, make it better. Which I believe Peter kind of took a initiative on and did his own stuff. And we had the Here With You series, which was really, really good. For my own personal journey, it took me another 8 months. It wasn't until mid-August when I had help from some other friends that I finally went out and contacted a therapist. And I contacted her in August. I met her in September, and I have been seeing her now for almost 2 whole years. And she is great. I absolutely love her. Absolutely amazing. 100% helpful. And in that initial time, like that end of 2019 or whatever, we worked together on a lot of different issues that I was experiencing. She helped me a lot through everything. And by the beginning of 2020, I was in a much better position. Peter was also in a better position. So we decided that we were going to come back with a bang. We were a little bit more energized. I was still working through things at the time. Throughout 2020, of course, we had the pandemic, a whole lot of other stuff. Things didn't go so well. So there's still times when I struggle a lot, and there's a lot that I'm still working on. Right now is no exception. I'm still going through things. We've recently made a whole bunch of other different changes that we're going to try to see what helps, what works. But really, it's taking things day by day. I would not be doing this if I didn't feel able to do this podcast. And we've had that conversation before. If there's times that we need to take a day off or whatnot, we'll do that. Mental health always comes first, hands down, no question. So like in the timeline of everything, the best time that I've had in recent past was around like April last year, just as before the pandemic was kind of hitting, was doing fairly well then. Pandemic and everything kind of threw everything off. So I'm still trying to work through all of that. But overall, I'm doing okay, I guess. I have a cat now. He's not here. He was causing trouble a few minutes ago.
So that means he's causing more trouble.
A kitten now. Yeah, probably. He's looking for food. But yeah, like, there's a bunch of things that I'm trying, and I think if anyone wants to take something away from this, it's there are resources out there if you are looking for them, if you need them. There is absolutely nothing wrong with going and searching for these resources or asking for them or asking for help. Again, it took me a long time, and it wasn't until I actually had someone reach out to me in a DM and was like, if you need help doing this, you did it. I will help you. And so eventually it was just like, okay, I really need to do this. Can you help me write this email? Because I couldn't even write a simple email that was like, hey, I have some problems. Can we chat? There's lots of people to help. There's lots of resources. The chat phone lines help, all that sort of stuff. Definitely very useful. Like, go ahead and use them. Like, they're there. If you think you are in crisis, or if you're debating if you are not in crisis enough, you probably are. Like, use the resources available there. We have lots of links available if you need them.
Yeah, and I will say that Ellie, doing this should doing any sort of project involving anything you do should be fun. And if it becomes work, it's not fun anymore. And you know, it is a very hard call. And I've seen creators on Twitter all the time saying, hey, I had to take a day off for mental health day, you know, and sometimes I feel like they know that's not enough, that they need more, but they're just doing it just to take a day for themselves. And I feel bad because I feel like they know they should take more, and I've seen others take much longer time, and like for example, like because Curry announced it on social media. I know he's okay with me saying it, but Curry is still taking time off streaming, and and that's hard. He made the decision to make that is very hard when you have a lot of people watching you and stuff like that. It makes it very difficult because you could lose a lot of viewers, and it's hard to come back. Sometimes you get a lot of people come back because they're there to cheer you on. And then sometimes you don't, and that's the nature of doing content creation. Like you may not get the audience, so you have to find a new audience, and that's okay. So I have one last.
We
question.
can go on this because there's a whole like parasocial relationship piece as well, with people getting familiar and knowing, and like thankfully, at least I can't speak for you, but I know for myself, I haven't had that much of an experience like that with this podcast. I mean, I guess you have with the whole beard thing, but aside from that one, like I haven't had any real experience with that. So I'm very grateful for our audience with that. But there is a lot of times when it's draining. Like that's everyone keeps asking for solo streams from me, and that's just not something that I feel comfortable doing right now. And I've thought about it. I literally have 2 games that I would love to stream sitting in front of me, and like a whole slew of other ones that I've considered. But until I get to a point where I feel comfortable talking for hours on end, streaming a game, I guess you'll still have to wait for a little while, I guess.
It's okay. I'm still here. So I have a question, and it's not on here. And you do not have to answer this live on the show. I understand it if you say no. But
answer 6.
So 5 or so years ago, I asked you to do this show. And,
you did.
And I want to know, and I know you kind of answered it a little bit, but I'm gonna say like ask for a little deeper discussion. Like you had every chance to say no. I know you had nothing going on. You had every chance to say no, but you said yes. How has it changed the trajectory of your life, or at least your social life? And how has it changed and how has it changed the nature of our friendship? Do you and has it and what is this did you like, and why did you trust me? Like why did you trust me to do a podcast? Of all the things you could have said no and yes to, like why say yes to me?
So I guess to go a little bit deeper, like my answer is usually I didn't say no. I had nothing else better to do. But it's one of those things that I've had for a number of years, since back when I was working on the Rift stuff. Getting involved with the community and being part of something is something that I like doing, and being able to help others or provide things for others to help. Whether it's my professional life, it's things that I like doing, helping grow teams, growing people. And in my personal life, when whether it's leading raids way back when, or helping people run through content, or building community websites to bring people together, to building chat communities, to building podcasts, like being able to bring people together is something that I really enjoy doing, and content creation, and I've kind of missed it. Even back from when I was helping out with the podcast, with Rift, or websites with various different games. It was always something that I really, really enjoyed, and that's something like I personally was really invested in. So this was like kind of another opportunity to do that, right? Like it's a different type of content than I was used to doing, because I've never really did a podcast officially. I had guested on a couple at that point, but I had never done a podcast. So I did a lot of the content, or the content creation, but community management side, which I enjoyed, and I was hoping to kind of bring to here as well. So when you asked, to me, it was another opportunity to get involved with that, especially after the recent loss of EQ Next, which we were both going through at that time, still are. It was another avenue that we could kind of bring that creation and that creative outlet that I haven't really been able to do anywhere else. Like I can be a little bit creative in software development, but there's a difference in the creation that I do as part of a development cycle, as opposed to when I'm creating content for like the podcast, or for videos, or for anything like that. So that's something that I wanted to explore. What was the second part of that?
Why did you trust me? Like, why did you say yeah? You could have said
I thought
no.
that was the last one.
Well, it was the last one. But the second one was you chose.
Was it how did it change?
Yeah, how did it change the trajectory of your life? Like saying yes to doing this.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
I really don't know on that sense in changing the trajectory. I know it's made coordinating things a lot more difficult because now we have this recurring thing that we do twice a week. So it does make things a little bit harder, and we've had to shift things around back and forth. So our scheduling, we're getting good at scheduling. I'm getting very, very good at time zone conversions as well. But I've done that for years. So I don't really know how it's affected the trajectory. I know that it's definitely gotten me more comfortable speaking on camera or getting recorded on camera, or just speaking in general on a podcast. I'm much more open to doing that. I think it's helped a little bit with just communicating with people in general because we're constantly talking, we're going back and forth. We have to have our banter, we have all of our different things. And just being able to be a little bit more cognizant of even like speech patterns, right? Like not having like like this like we've learned to eliminate a lot of that from our vocabulary. It comes in now and then, but for general, like we've learned ways around that.
Yeah.
And we still speak very, very fast at times, but we've learned how to like there's a lot of things that we're learning on and fixing it and doing it, and like we've gained a lot of skills with videos and editing and audio and all of that, which is really, really cool. And I think one of the things that has been
speaking is very difficult.
Speaking is hard.
Yeah.
The long week juice helps.
Oh, it really does.
But so I think that the biggest thing that I've taken away from this, or the thing that I find is the most change, would be the people that we've met. We have met a lot of different interesting people, and like, for example, I've met you through this. It was a different podcast, but I still have met you through this. I have met Chili, I've met Susan, I have met so many different people in our community. And I point out them specifically because I've also physically met them in person at FanFest. And we've met a ton of our friends through FanFest. We have Avi, Pete from She-Hulls, I Tank, Chili. We haven't met Paul yet, hopefully one day. But there's just a ton of people that we've met.
Tons of people.
Ruby, Yalta.
Emmy, like Anonymous. Like we've met. We stayed in the house with most of these
Fusion.
people.
We did.
So
that was an experience. Barhammet, Safe. Like we've met so many cool people through this as a hobby, and even for the people that we've met virtually only, like Hottie Chicken. Like these are interesting people that we probably seen or heard have we not met and like networked with all these different people. Like I would have not met Chili if I didn't know you, right? I wouldn't know Susan if I met you. Susan wouldn't know all of us if she hasn't met her. Whether that's good or bad, we'll leave it to her. But yeah, there's just a lot of I think all the different connections that we've made from this is probably the biggest thing that I've taken this, or the biggest change, I should say. And the last question, which I remember before and I'm currently blanking on.
Me. So the question is how, essentially me, like why say yes? Like you had every option to say no.
Why you?
Yeah, why me? Why?
I mean, the same answer kind of applies. Like the why not? Like let's take a chance on this. But in terms of like, why would I say yes to you and not someone else? I guess it would be because we were friends. I knew you. I knew the content that you make. I knew what you were bringing on board, the type of stuff that you wanted to do. It meshed a lot with what I want to do. Like we both want to bring that community. We want to bring that positivity, that warmth, that welcoming feel. We don't want to alienate a lot of people. But there's also a lot of stuff that we won't put up with, like a lot of the racist stuff that's been going around, the bigoted stuff, things like that we have a very zero tolerance policy on. So like a lot of our ideals meshed, a lot of the ideas we had kind of meshed. And where I have ideas from like a conceptual standpoint of like, this is what I would imagine a community might be, you have a lot of the ideas of this is how we get to that point. So I feel like our skill sets kind of also worked very, very well together. And it just, I felt like we would work well together. It was fun when we played games together. So having this as another opportunity for us to kind of hang out and do stuff was really, really fun. And part of it was just like hey, let's see where we can go with this. Like, we're two random people that were just speaking out of random, like, I think I was in a basement at the time, unfortunately. But we're like out of the middle of nowhere, right? Like, we're just two guys speaking in podcasts. Like, I hadn't hit 30 yet, so I wasn't at my midlife crisis white boy who needs to start a podcast phase. Still, I'm not surprisingly.
Couldn't say different. Well, I'm not white. So.
There you go. You got that. I'm not cis. So, oh wait, no, I am cis. I'm not het. There we go. Wow, that could have gone differently. But like, it's. I think that's just what it ended up being. Was like it was. Let's see what we could do with this, because if things went according to our plans, this could go very, very well and could be very rewarding for us. Not even like this could blow up and be huge and be this massive thing. This would be something that's very rewarding for us. And if we look at the past 5 years from that perspective, I feel like we've succeeded.
Yeah.
We've done a lot. We have a lot more that we want to do. We have so much more that we want to do. And are we where we want to be in terms of like audience and stuff? No. We would love to grow past 500 people on Twitch. We would like to go well past 100 on YouTube. We would love to have a lot of people watch us live, listen to us recorded. Is that something we're going to chase? A little bit. Yeah. But as long as we continue to enjoy making this content, we'll continue making this content, because the content at the end of the day is for us.
Yeah. And for those of you that listen to the so you want to be a Final Fantasy 14 podcaster, you'll remember
Shameless plug.
And you'll remember that I said make the podcast you want to listen to, and essentially that's what we did here. We made the podcast that we wanted to hear. We wanted to share a lot, and I wanted to share Quinton. So I'm going to take a minute to not get emotional and say thank you to him for the last 5 years. He's not going anywhere, but I'm just saying thank you because I didn't think he was going to say yes. I want to be very, very honest. I did not think he was going to say yes to me because I knew he's so funny and he's so charismatic, and you know, he didn't know who he was yet, and I saw him for who he was, and it's very, like, it's hard for a lot of people to see that in a person and want to share somebody with the world, and I wanted to do that. Like, he was the very first person I wanted to share with an audience, and I think after the 5 years and this episode, and I'm getting emotional saying this, I'm sorry, but he is the greatest, not only one of the best people I've ever met, but like truly supportive and helped make this better, like podcasting and doing this for 5 years so much better. So if it took 5 years to share him with all of you, it was worth it. Like this show was worth it. So I'm so happy that he found himself and he found the person he wants to be. And I hope that this was in one small part, a part of his journey. Like, I really do. So I'm sorry.
There's nothing small in there.
Like, I really do wish, like, I really do. Like, I hope that, like, you, knowing that the last 5 years and where we went and the mental health break we took, like, it was a long journey for both of us. And it was not easy. It was not easy for us to say, let's not do this. And I'm so happy that I got to like tell jokes and do choose your own adventures and ghost phones and all the stuff that I will promise this. There will be a ghost phone. I will not tell you when, and if I told you when, you'll expect it. But if I did not, just know there will be a ghost phone in the future. Because I know there's so many people that love it, and he does not. So just know. But I honestly, I thank you so much for, one, being my friend, and two, saying yes to this, because I do not think Maelstrom Radio would be as good as it can be, and I know how good it will be without you. So you can never leave. Like, you can never. I'm just letting you know, you can never leave.
Well, I'm already in California, so.
So thank you for answering
a hotel.
All these. I know. Thank you for answering all these questions. And again, podcast, I'm sorry, and if Susan is crying, I apologize. I will give you a big hug later, and I probably need one as well. And he did not lose composure. I did. So, and
I didn't get to talk.
That's true.
and I drank water to help.
Yeah, I did not. It could be the long week juice.
Coping strategies.
So, it's a lot, right? Like, having a like, again, we can go into co-hosts and you know, but again, thank you. It's been a long episode, and we should end it so you can go eat.
So for the record, I am usually the one that says, let's keep our episodes 45 minutes to an hour. We're almost at 2 hours now. Yeah, that was my fault this week.
Yeah,
that's fine. A lot.
That's fine. So thank you, everybody. Next week, Jen and Eric will be here from Generic Live. Just go follow us on Twitter. Share this podcast with everybody you know and love, including Grandma. I'm sure she'll love us. Maybe Grandma will cry. I don't know. So thank you so much.
If we make your grandma cry, I'm really curious.
Yeah, just let us know. Let us know if we make Grandma cry. And one last thing, Chili says in chat. One thing, Chili, I will read this. As someone who has been watching you for years now, really want to see you blast past 500 followers and see so many more viewers, because you really deserve all the love and all the love you show to everyone. And one last thing, he says, I don't think there's a better duo for the show. You both bring something different in. So thank you again, all. Quinton, do you have anything else for tonight?
Nope, I would not be here without this show or without you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank Susan. We are going to go raid Shyntyrr Hime. So podcast listeners, this is the end. I'm going to play the outro. But as always, everybody, till sea swallows all, keep listening.
Maelstrom Radio is brought to you by maelstromradio.com and Blackfire Media. Produced by Flatus, Shyntyrr, and Susan Sprinkle. Join us live Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/maelstromradio. Send email to show@maelstromradio.com, tweet us at maelstrom_radio, or join our Discord at maelstromradio.com/discord. Views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests do not reflect the views and opinions of any companies discussed on today's show.